This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1, and it reads, Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decree, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to my elder apostles, elder bishops, elders at Great Millstone, that rule well, that teach well, that taught me His truth. Peace, love, and salutation to the Bayafta, without which is the house of David, which is the elect. Shalom, this is your brother Yanagai here from the Providence, Rhode Island camp, coming back to you again with another one, okay? And I got a short video queued up, okay? I'm just going to go straight to it, right? Bring out some few precepts to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, and Lord willing, okay, that the sincere sheep of the household of Israel is edified, all right? So let me read this here one more time. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1, and it reads, Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that which write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless.
At 57, Elaine Riddick has a house full of God.
North Carolina, when if the state deemed you unfit to have children, it could have you sterilized. It happened to more than 7,500 people. Today in Raleigh, victims of the practice told their stories to lawmakers, and Kelly Kobiea was there.
Say hello.
At 57, Elaine Riddick has a house full of godchildren, great-nieces, and nephews, but only one child of her own, a son. When she was 14, Riddick was raped. The day she gave birth, doctors sterilized her on orders from the state of North Carolina. Her illiterate grandmother signed the sterilization papers with an X.
I've always been able to take care of myself. I've never been promiscuous. So how can people use these things to describe a child that had been abandoned or that had been raped by the neighbor and then again raped by the state of North Carolina?
What happened to Elaine Riddick in North Carolina happened to more than 60,000 people in 32 states from the early 1900s to the 1970s.
The people who were the focus of this kind of movement were people who were the dispossessed of society. They were poor people, and in some cases, simply people of color.
There was a time in North Carolina when if the state deemed you unfit to have children, it could have you sterilized. It happened to more than 7,500 people. Today in Raleigh, victims...
Okay.
At 57...
All right. This is the reason why we have to get the hell up out of this place, man. All right? All right? If the government doesn't deem you fit, that they can sterilize you, man. All right? Which, you know, matter of fact, let me go to ChatGPT. I wonder if, hold on, let me see. Henry Kissinger sterilized. Because he was a part of it, man. It says the claim that Henry Kissinger sterilized people is a conspiracy theory or not supported by credible. See, but they're lying, yo. They're lying, man, because this guy was at the forefront of, you know, sterilizing a lot of jakes, man. All right? Okay. Let me see. Big growth in developed countries could turn all right, because they always, you know, matter of fact, let me grab that scripture real quick. Okay, because the scriptures say, you know, for us, you know, Israelites to be fruitful and multiply, right? But let me see. Okay. Okay, so let me see now. All right. 'Cause this been going on for ages, man. All right, let's read this here real quick. Let's start at the top. This is Exodus 1, right? Well, pay attention, right? Exodus 1 and 1. Now these are the name of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. Okay, so Joseph, he was in Egypt, man. Okay, this is when he was when he became like a higher upper echelon in Egypt. All right. Okay, so it says there, verse 6, right? And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all the generations, right? Pay attention now. It says, verse 7, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Okay, so our people was fruitful, man. Okay, fruitful and multiplying all throughout Egypt, man. Okay, to the point where, each and every tribe, right? There was, like strength, like it had a lot of people, man. Okay, it's the same now, man. Same now with in America, aka Babylon the Great, man, which is synonymous as Egypt, right? Okay, Jake is everywhere, man. Okay, Jake is everywhere, and we are the majority, man. Okay, we are the majority, man. You got Jake all throughout the four corners of America, man. All right, but here what's gonna happen, right? It says, "No, there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph," right? So he had a new, king in power, right? It says, "And he said unto his people, Behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we," right? So these devils, right? They always scrutinize us, man. They always try to measure up themselves to us, man, and try to deal with us in like it says right here, right? It says, verse 10, "Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they join also to our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land," man. Okay, so these devils, right? They like going back to that video, man. All right, that sterilization of Jake, man. Okay, it's always been right for them to cut us off, man. All right, to cut us off and sterilize the men, sterilize the women, right? So we don't multiply, man. And like it says right here, so we wouldn't join against some other their enemies, right, and fight against them, man. Okay, so it says here, right, verse 11, "Therefore they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens," right? It says, "And they build for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses," right? But here what, right? It says, verse 12, "But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiply and grew," man. Okay, so Jake out there, we're hardworking people, right? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when Jake, the more harder we work, the more harder we play, right? And I don't mean play in that way, you know what I mean? But Jake, we procreate, man. Okay, we have fun, man. All right, and in that act of fun or we procreating, we get children, man. Whether it be triplets or whatever, man. Okay, all according to what the Lord give us. Okay, all right. But the Lord said, right, for us to be fruitful and multiply, man. Okay. All right. So, like it says right here, the more they afflicted Jake, the more they started to multiply, man. Okay. So it says, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Okay, so this kind of grieved them, and they were upset, man. All right, so it says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. All right, so they start putting more hell on Jake, man. It says, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All the service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. Okay, so you know, instead of having them have build bricks with mortar, right, they will take away the mortar and say, you know, find some other way to build your bricks, right? Find some other way how to because we need bricks, right? This is what the taskmasters of Egypt was saying, man. Okay, starting afflicting all people more and more and more, man. All right. So it says, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah, right? Verse 60, and he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall delete him, but if he be a daughter, then she shall live. Okay, so they wanted to delete the male children out of the nation of Israel, man. Okay, which goes into that sterilization, man. Okay, going into them them Planned Parenthood, you know, them deletion centers, man. Okay, those clinics, man. Okay, where women can go in there and delete their offsprings, man. All right, and this is the reason why, okay, the so-called black woman, right, is the leading in you know, in charge, or you know, she's at the forefront of the one of the women them in America that delete their offsprings, man. All right, majority of them, man, they in the millions, man. Okay, whether it be via through going in for an appointment, taking contraceptives, right, and so on and so forth, man. Okay, so it says here, but the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive, because guess what, they didn't want it, you know, because the Lord said he was going to bring forth a son, right? A son, right? And matter of fact, what's it? Let me get that real quick. What's it? Matthew, right? Matthew, right? King Herod, right? When King Herod, in the day of King Herod, right? When Yahushua was born in Bethlehem, man, he wanted to see Yahushua, man, and he wanted to delete him, man. Okay, because you know, this had trouble the King Herod, man. Okay, and he wanted to delete Yahushua. So Yahushua parents, right, had to flee, man. All right, they had to flee from King Herod, man. Okay, and you could read this here real quick. You know, I'm not gonna go into it. Okay. All right. So yeah, man. Okay, and it says verse 14. See, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. Ended up going into Egypt, man. All right. So they didn't want a male child to come out the loins of the nation of Israel, man. Okay, because they know that it will bring forth. Because the male of the nation of Israel, right, who is born, you know, kings, priests, right, mighty warriors, prophets, right, and so on and so forth, man. Okay, but they couldn't stop the birth of Yahushua, man. Okay, so Yahushua came on the scene, right? Okay, but that's going into another topic. But let me stay on the main course, right? Go back to Exodus 1, they wanted to deal wisely with the children of Israel, man. Okay, sterilizing, man. This is the reason why we got to get the hell up out of here, man. Okay, because these people are seeking to destroy us, man. All right. So now, let me see. Let me start at 17 again. It says, but the midwives feared the Most High and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian woman, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Verse 20, therefore the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Most High, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive, man. Okay? So, amen. You know, like the scriptures say, man, there is no new thing under the sun, man. Okay, the same tactics and the same concept that they're dealing with us today is the same as back then, man. Okay, it's just more modernized. It's just more grievous, right? All right? So, hey, man, we got to get up out of here, man. Okay? So, you know, just touching on that real quick, okay? And, you know, hopefully you, Akiam wa Akwaf, is edified. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakodash. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.